Donald Trump, again, comes out ahead relative to Joe Biden when you look at what people are actually doing based upon people's behavior. You can think of if your boss is standing over your shoulder, how is your behavior? Versus your boss is on vacation, how is your behavior? Or if I were to ask you, what do you like better, chicken or steak? And you tell me steak, versus actually observing what you can consume over some period of time. And if you consume a completely different thing than what you say, that is like looking at polling data versus reality. And we take a look at 5 different factors here to see each one of these, to see who's winning in each category. And then we have a bonus section where we take a look at the total number of people who have donated less than $200. These are small donors. These are people who probably don't have a tremendous amount of disposable income, and they're donating $200 to the campaign. So that gives us an indication of who they support in terms of the masses, right? Because if you look, the vast majority, it's like 50 or 60 something percent of Americans, I think it's actually higher than that probably, don't have more than like $400 of disposable income a month. They live paycheck to paycheck every single week. And that is a large majority of the American population. So if we understood what is happening with the majority, that gives us a really good understanding of where we're headed going into November. Now, with that being said, if this is your first time here, what's good? My name is Sam, and for those of you who are returning, it is good to frickin' see you. I do one of these rankings every day of the week, Monday through Saturday. So if you want to catch the next video, make sure you press that subscribe button and that bell notification. Now, let's get into the data. This is over here on Real Clear Politics. We get to see Biden is winning across the board, right? But maybe, just maybe, the media has an incentive, right? We know the media does not represent an accurate reality. They're not trying to uphold journalistic standards for ethics, right? Factual, saying the truth, being objective, trying to accurately represent what is happening in reality. These are not things media holds themselves to. So we have to look for ourselves to see what's going on. And when we take a look at any of these, the ranges are from like 3,000 data points to 964 data points. And this is kind of laughable, but this is actually how it's done. The media will report in these, right, 964 people, saying that that represents what the collective heartbeat of America is. 330 million people. Yeah, I know, it's absolutely fucking ridiculous. But they don't tell you how the data was gathered, right? We're going to actually observe reality versus this. And then you're a smart human being, and you can make the decision for yourself. This 964 people, and if you go over here, click on this, you can actually see this for yourself. And you scroll to the bottom and it will tell you how the data is gathered. Data collected using interactive voice response, system of landlines, and online panel by Mturk. So what they're telling you right there is that a spam call, similar to like a bank or cable company, will call you on a landline. So what does that do? First of all, who the fuck is going to pick up a spam call? I surely won't. I barely pick up a phone for just people that I know that call me. Second, I might be an anomaly, right? So there's probably some portion of the population who picks up spam calls. Second, who the fuck has a landline? If you're only calling landlines, and that's 60% of all your fucking data, then you're cutting off a giant portion of the whole population there. Oh, interesting, right? And then Mturk. Mturk is, you know those surveys where they're like, hey, you can get paid to take surveys at home on your desk while you're sitting in your pajamas? That's what Mturk is. Mturk is an Amazon company that I actually created an account for. You can go take surveys, but the sole objective. You're getting paid pennies, right? Pennies to take these surveys, like 20 cents up to maybe $1.50 or something like that. And it might be 15 to 25 minutes or something. So you're getting paid to take the surveys, but what is your incentive? So I did about 50 of them. My incentive going through those is to literally click through as fast as humanly possible so that I can get paid more. So what do you do when all the data is wrong, right? We can see that here. Anybody who does a modicum of research can tell that the data is garbage, right? The adage, garbage in, garbage out. Well, one person, Kanye West, is doing something about it. He has mentioned before that the media, both in terms of the traditional, I'm not even going to call them news because we both know news is not what the media is. News has connotations associated with it that something is going to be portrayed as in like reality. The media is like storytelling that is parts of it are factual, but a lot of it is not factual. A lot of it is just a opinion about what is going on, not presenting both sides of what's going on. It is very, 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 very one-sided. So this gentleman here, whether you like him or don't like him, decided to take it upon himself to do something about it. He knows the system is rigged in one direction. So in a text message interview with Forbes, he tells them he is running to purposefully take votes away from Biden. Intelligent man here. I think that's an awesome strategy because he's also said that you should protect your children from the media. And unless you're really on the pulse of what is happening and you go down that rabbit hole, you're not going to know. The media is not going to tell you what's happening with all this pedophile stuff that you may have heard about or seen tidbits here and there about. But there's a lot more information that's about to be coming out. And Kanye West knows that you need to protect your children. This man was a superstar or whatever you want to call him. And he knows you need to protect your children. So with that being said, let's get into the data and then we're going to get into our bonus related to actual money. So the first couple factors we take a look at is the total number of subscribers gained over the last 30 days on Donald Trump's YouTube channel versus Joe Biden's YouTube channel. This data, is collected from Social Blade if you care to go check yourself over the last 30 days. So we can see Donald Trump had 40,000 people subscribe to his YouTube channel. Joe Biden had 26,000 people who subscribed to his YouTube channel. So that is a clear win for Trump. Again, this is a large amount of data here, right? We're not talking about 964 people anymore. This is people's behaviors. So the next thing we take a look at is the total number of views over the last 30 days. Now this one, Joe Biden, trounces Trump. If you take a look at the channel, there's three things here that the Biden channel is doing correctly and that Trump can apply to his YouTube channel or his team can apply to his YouTube channel to get better. Now, what those three things are for Biden, because he's more than double, right? He's got more than double what Trump has. This is a big increase, 11.5 million versus 5.3 million. Those three things, first of all, the diversity of the channel. So the diversity of the channel, and a lot of that 11.5 million came from bringing Obama on and then chopping that up into pieces. Those videos specifically got a lot of views, right? And so that makes up a lot of the 11.5 million. Now, one of the other things that I just mentioned that I kind of gave it away is the chopping it up or the diversity on the channel. And that doesn't mean just that applies to the diversity of the person on the channel, but also the diversity of the length of the content on the channel. So the length of the content on Trump's channel is, there's a couple very long or actual pieces of content. YouTube is a long form play, right? YouTube is where you go to watch longer form things. Traditionally, where if you're going to watch a 30-second clip, you might watch it on Facebook or you might watch it on TikTok or maybe on Instagram or something, but you're not going to, you don't traditionally, from everything that I've seen, you don't go to YouTube to watch these short clips. And that is a tremendous amount of what is on the Trump channel versus the Biden channel has like probably 60 to 80% from that, but they have other ones that are longer form, whether it's 6 minutes or 36 minutes, right? And that diversity of the length is helpful because it provides more information. Like all of the press briefings that Trump does that is 36 minutes or 48 minutes or whatever, that whole piece of content should be put on the YouTube channel and then cut up into little pieces. And then the other thing that's different, Trump has, it's primarily Trump talking, which is amazing because in 2020, you do have to communicate with the public, but you can also bring in other voices who are related to that because that adds more social proof on there, right? So I think adding in more social proof or just other people onto the channel, right? And I think one of the reasons might not be is because there's something research done in terms of the hidden Trump support, right? Because, and this is research back in 2016 and I think it was released in 2017 by Cornell University. There's a stigma, right? We know the media is super biased in one direction. So if somebody like Kanye comes out, right, and says that they support Trump, the media is going to attack them and try to find anything they possibly can to twist and manipulate through disinformation. Disinformation is false and misleading information that is put out there to deceive people. That is what the media does. And so I think that's probably one of the reasons why, where if somebody goes on the Biden channel, you're not going to have the media attack you. But if you go on the Donald Trump channel, you're definitely going to have the media attack you, right? There's a big double standard there. There's a giant double standard where somebody might say something about say Trump's maybe mental capacity, right? But nobody says anything about Biden's like clearly not even able to get a fucking sentence out, right? Like he can't fucking run a shoebox, let alone a country. Like he just is like, we're watching this guy be like, oh, he was okay, right? In terms of being able to articulate something to now he's just like, boom, he's going down hard. This is what's called elderly abuse. So let's jump on to the next section here. So kudos to Biden's campaign right there. Next is the largest site on the planet. This is Google. Google Trends tracks all the search volume on Google. So you can put in a search term like Trump 2020 YouTube versus Biden 2020 YouTube and see who has more searches. And for this, as across the United States over the last 30 days, this is not 30 days here, but this is the data from right here. You get to see that Trump has more than 2-1 in terms of the search volume. And you could look at the graph right here. There's only one time where the Biden campaign went above the Trump campaign in terms of search volume. There was a tie over here. The rest of the time, people are just more interested in looking up Trump 2020 on YouTube versus Biden 2020 YouTube. That's just what it is. And this is millions and millions of data points, again, relative to 964 data points. The next two factors both come directly from YouTube. So you go over to YouTube and you search for Donald Trump, and then you can put in the released in the last month video and view count. So this is going to be the videos based upon the view count that were released in the last 30 days. And we added up the top 10 for Joe Biden and then the top 10 for Trump. And what we got here is almost 45.5 million views for the top 10 videos around Trump versus about 16 million for Biden. So 3-1, meaning for every 3 views for Trump, there's 1 view for Biden. So pretty interesting, right? This next one is almost like a snapshot, right? This one doesn't give you any time sense, time series data. This is like right now, the moment, right? Over the last hour, how many videos were released for Donald Trump versus how many videos were released for Joe Biden? And I think that this is important because there's something called a familiarity bias. So when you look at the familiarity bias, think of if somebody was like, go to the store, get detergent, right? Somebody's like, okay, cool. They grab Tide. That is the familiarity bias because Tide has that, people are familiar with that name So they do that. So if you think of the population as 100%, so we'll just take off 20% right off the top. We're not going to do anything, right? Say these are eligible voters. We have 100%, right? Take off 20%, so we're left at 80. Then you have, say 40 or 50% of that who have made up their mind, and maybe 20 to 30 something percent who are just undecided yet. And those people who have undecided, those people are going to be swayed to a certain extent from people, whether it's positive or negative. Doesn't matter what it is. That's why there's the adage like that all attention is good attention, because it's accurate, right? So if you're on the line, you're going to, some percentage of those are just going to automatically, just from the familiarity bias, just because they're more familiar with something. So that's why the attention is so incredibly important. And we have 69 other videos from people who were released about Trump. So they have to have Trump in the title, or his likeness or his picture in the thumbnail. Same thing for Biden. And we get to see that it is, again, 3-to-1. There's 3 more people who are working to put out content, because making a YouTube video requires time and effort to do that, and potentially editing and costs, right? Costs of time, but potentially hard costs too, like it's explicit, like dollars. So this is big, right? There's 3 times as many people putting out content for Trump than there is for Biden. But let's take a look at those actual explicit dollars now and see what is going on. Because when we take a look at all this, Trump is he's just winning. He's just winning. But that's not, right? That's not what the media is going to tell you, because there's an agenda there. So let's take a look here. This is Joe Biden, right? So we've got Joe Biden. We're going to scroll down, and this is on opensecrets.org if you care to take a look at any of this data yourself. We are going to go to the summary page, and this is small individual contributions, less than $200, right? Because Trump's a billionaire, so he's got his billionaire friends and like corporations that are donating to him, right? So let's see here. We have large contributions, so this would be from large donors, versus small individual contributions. So these are the people, right, who are living paycheck to paycheck. These are the people who are not necessarily in the financial position, right? This is like mainstream America. And if you look at the data, I believe it's close to 70, but I said 50 or 60 at the beginning of the video because I wanted to be conservative on this number. This represents well over 50% of the country who lives paycheck to paycheck. They just don't have any financial literacy to understand how to maybe make these decisions, or they don't have any will to do that. So we can see that about 43% of all the donations for Joe Biden have come from small donors at less than $200 per donation. Well, let's take a look at Trump, right? So this is Donald Trump again, opensecrets.org. Scroll down here. What do you know? Look at fucking that. 56%. And if you check this out, this is 118 million versus 192 million. So not only is the percentage of the total much greater, 43% versus 56%, meaning there's a fuckload more of people. Let's actually do the math on that real quick. Let's see, 192 million, 162,516. We're going to take that and divide it by 200 to give us a number, right? This is going to give us roughly, if everybody was to donate $200 exactly, which this says less than $200, but we'll just say it's 200. That's about 1 million people, right, for Trump. And these are small. This is like mainstream America versus what we have for Biden is 118. This is very small, sorry guys. So we're going to take that and divide it by 200 versus 593. Let me make this a little bit bigger. So we got 15 here. So this is the total amount of money in both of these categories raised from small donors. As a percentage of the total, it is substantially higher for Trump. And if you take a look at the total numbers, these numbers are very conservative, right? Because somebody might donate $10 and I'm saying it's 200. So we can see here that Trump has almost 1 million versus Biden at almost 600,000. So we got 593 versus 960. Big difference. And together, These two numbers are over 1.5 million versus the 963. This is people's behavior. This is people going to work, their hard-earned money, and giving it to somebody they support. You're an intelligent human being who can think for yourself, understand what is going on. The media is completely biased. The data collection is completely biased. If you support the truth, take a moment and press that thumbs up button so that this video will be shared with more people on YouTube. We need to spread the message and stand up to the media. This is the first time in history where we actually have a voice. We can impact things. Before it was just 3 networks, and they got to dictate the perception of the American public. And they're still trying to do that today. But now people can call them out on it by using the internet. So share this video with somebody who you know can get some value out of this. I appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to you soon.